I always get, well, maybe not one of the greatest questions I always get, but one common question that I get with a lot of students is understanding the difference between relations and functions. And if we kind of just look back into a relation, what I'm going to talk about, what is a relation? That's what this video is about. A relation, we can think of just the root of the word, is a relationship. But it's a special type of relationship that we're going to deal with in mathematics. It's a relationship between an input and an output, where input is going to be, you're putting something in, and output, you're going to be getting something out. Now, when we talk about functions later, there's going to be set rules and criteria for a relationship to be a function. So a function is a special type of relationship. However, a relation just means that there is a relationship that exists. So there's 4 special ways that we like to represent relations in mathematics. The first is the ordered pairs. And this might be a way that you'd be familiar with when you first started graphing. Remember when we graph coordinate points. All right, and what there was a relationship between the coordinate points. You have your x and you had your y coordinate. And they related to each other on how you would graph them. So we could just put in numbers here, and this is a way that there is a relationship between these 2 points, the x and y coordinate. The next set is our mapping. Now, mapping is very useful in being able to describe, when things are a relationship, or especially when things are functioning. And pretty much mapping just takes us from our input to our output. All right, so it just tells us, if we have what's in our input and then the relationship to our output. All right, so when using a relation, or when using mapping to describe a relation, it just tells how are they related. How are your elements in your input and your output related? And I forgot to mention too, input and your output, as your x values are your input and the y values are your output. The next set that we like to look at is a table. And a table, again, is just another way to represent our x and y coordinates. So we could have a relationship here, which when you first learned to graph, we learned about making tables and setting a table to graph them. Well, again, this is another way to represent a relation. You can have, again, that your x is going to be your input and the y is going to be your output, and you can see how these two relate to each other. And another way is graphing. So when I'm plotting points, all right, by plotting points, we can see that there is a relationship between the points. And you can get these plotted points from a table, from ordered pairs, and also graphing. So it's just different ways for us to be able to see the relationship between our input and our output. And that's all we're really talking about, that their relationship pretty much exists between an input and an output. So that's my definition of relation. I hope that helped. If you have any questions or comments, please say below. Thanks.